Hello artists, this is Miss Monroe, and today we are going to talk a little bit about patterns. Patterns are something that repeats over and over and over again. You can have different types of lines, as long as it goes, for example, straight line, zigzag, straight line, zigzag, as long as it's something that repeats. You can have different shapes. You can have the same shape. For example, square, square, and I just have a row of squares. You could have different shapes. Square, triangle. The next one would then be a square. You can add colors as long as the pattern repeats over and over and over again. I want you to go right now inside your head, close your eyes, and I want you to think of patterns. I want you to think of some ideas just to have in your head. Are you going to use lines? Are you going to use shapes? Are you going to use a combination of both? Because you can, because as long as it repeats. Oop, I'm showing you the surprise. For example, I could have zigzag, but then in each of the zigzag, I have little circles. And there you go, I have a pattern. Now, for this project today, you will need the following things. You will need a piece of paper. You will need a pencil and a black marker. It doesn't have to be this one, and it doesn't. You can use a Sharpie. You know, if you don't have markers, you can use a black color pencil or a black crayon. Those will all work. Even a ballpoint pen. When I say a ballpoint pen, it's like this, where it has a little ball, and that's what lets the ink out. It's kind of awesome. And you probably have one. So we're going to be using patterns. We're going to be using a piece of paper. We're going to be using a pencil, a pen or slash marker, color pencil, etc. And you will need a cup. It does not need to be a red cup. It can be any cup in your house because all cups kind of follow the same design. They're cylinders, but they have a bigger top and a smaller bottom usually, okay? So you have two circles. And what we are going to do is we are going to create pattern project. As you look at this, I have my big circles and I have my little circles, and they are doing something that I have talked about in my previous art lessons. They are overlapping each other. And I'm going to take this one off, and I'm going to put a new piece of paper down. And if you are using, the reason why there's a red piece of paper underneath your boys and girls is if you are using a permanent marker, you do not want the permanent marker to bleed through. So you usually put another piece of paper underneath so you don't ruin your desk, your table, whatever you are drawing on. And like always, I tape mine because this is a drafting table and it is not flat. I have it at an angle. So I have my piece of paper, I have my cup, and I am actually just going to trace it using my marker because I have done this project before and I want you to be able to see it. For everyone else, I would suggest tracing it with a marker if you are super confident in where you want your circles. Remember, we always explore the space and we think really hard. Now, for the sake of this project, I want you to actually keep it all on the space. I don't want you going off the edge, bleeding off the edge for this project. You have a big circle and a little circle. I would trace 3 big circles, and they can be anywhere on the paper. You get to decide because you are the artist. I like one right there. I think I want one right here. Notice that these ones are not overlapping. These ones are just, I'm checking out my space. And I'm gonna put one right here. Yeah, that's gonna be good. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to flip your cup to the smaller circle. And the smaller circle is the one that's going to overlap and connect. You need to connect your big circles with a little one. There we go. And if you feel like challenging yourself, you can do one more big circle. I think I am. I think I am just gonna, it doesn't look balanced to me. There we go. That's kind of cool. Okay. Now, we are done with our cup. And what we're gonna do now, it's pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Each section that you made has to be a different pattern. The patterns can be limited only by your imagination. I would draw them first with a pencil. I'm going to do it with a marker and a pen, but that's because I want you to be able to see it. You can then go over it with a marker and a pen after you're confident that you have a really good pattern going on. And remember, they can be lines, they can be shapes. Okay, artists, I have filled in every section with a pattern, but it still doesn't really pop. It doesn't really have a contrast. It doesn't really catch my eye. And that is when you would take, if you had a black marker or a black crayon or a black color pencil, what you would then do after you've drawn all your patterns is you would add some value. Now, I know when you hear the word value, you really think about money. And you know what? That's a good way to think about value, because the more money you have, the more value it has. And the less money you have, the less value. So the more you have value in art refers to how dark something is. And if you want less value in art, that means the lighter it is. So for example, if I were to compare these two sections right here on my artwork, this one has more value than this section because this value has a lot of dark. It's more dark than this section. This section actually has less value. It really doesn't have a lot of value at all. So you're then going to go into your sections and you're going to add some value. Now, you might have noticed that I have drawn in my sections right here, I did circles 2 times, but the circles are different. There's big circles and then these are little circles. What you can then do to add even more contrast is you could color the background of this one in, which is really easy because it's a small section. And you could color the circles in on this one. Notice how I trace it first and then I fill it in. So I am going to finish filling in my patterns with more value. And there we go, boys and girls. You can do this multiple ways, as I said before, and your patterns are limited only to your own imagination. But I did this one just with lines and shapes. You can get more creative, but remember, make it your own. Tune in next time.